BAM! Snow shovel and force in an FFA. Gonna go over the fundamentals of the para and proper playstyle. So let's get this started. First of all, damage. Can one-shot an 08 helmet or an 09 helmet up to 17 meters. I don't have goggles, but that's about this distance. That's right around here. Up close, it's 2 shots to the chest, and you can 2-shot people in the chest up to 5 meters. After that, it's usually 3 to 4 bullets to kill someone in the chest. So that's important to know. Other things, the recoil on the gun. Obviously, it has a lot of recoil. I was holding down, so just to show you the how much kick it has. But that's easily controllable if you just tap shoot. If you tap shoot, you can manage the recoil very well. If you burst shoot, not so much. It's like hit or miss. So what I would say is that you should never go full auto or burst unless you're in their face. And what I mean by in their face is like right here. Other than this distance, you should probably tap shoot as fast as you can. Or it's basically tap shoot, alright? You need to get into the habit of tap shooting, otherwise you should not be using this gun. This is not an MK3. This gun requires control. Speaking of recoil, if you are on a ramp, like this one for example, your recoil will increase by quite a bit. For example, you notice when I'm crouching and tapping right now, and you notice how much kick it had on the first 4 bullets. You see that? If I'm on a flat surface, not so much. It's much less. I wasn't controlling the recoil in this test, so I'm just saying, if you're on a ramp, just be aware of the fact that the recoil will be slightly different, so be aware of that. Zooming in provides slightly more accuracy at the cost of recoil, and the recoil is very noticeable at range. You can see the kick when you're zoomed in is much greater than when you're not zoomed in, so be aware of that. Zooming in is something that you should only do if you're trying to get the headshot, or if you are trying to have the tightest grouping possible and you can actually control this recoil like this. But you see, even I have problems controlling that recoil. Normally, I would avoid using the zoom unless I absolutely have to use it. You should probably avoid any distance past 20 meters anyway with a para because it's not a long-range gun. It's meant for short distances. Basically, 5 to 15 meters is where you want to kill someone. So that's basically from here to here. That's the sweet spot. This is the sweet spot to kill someone with a para, and you want to use this whenever you can. So use that to your advantage. You want to avoid the long-range fights, and you want to avoid the in-your-face fights, if possible. So yeah, those are just the basics of the gun. Now I'm going to go over proper play style. Over the past 2 years, I've kind of developed this. Normally, in my past videos, I've said crouch only. This has changed quite a bit. There's actually a new method I've come up with. It's just a 3 to 5 shot burst. And basically, it's not actually bursting, it's tapping. So when I say 3 to 5 shot burst, I mean 3 to 5 shots of tapped shooting. Like that. But, you want to tap. You never burst this gun unless you're in their face. Remember that. You should always tap this gun. So when I'm referring to 3 to 5 shot burst, it's tapping. So first of all, good habit to come into is aiming for the head at all times. This is something you just develop over time. When you're up close like this, sorry, we weren't on even land. When you're up close like this, you need to aim slightly higher than normal level to get the headshot. As he goes further across the landscape, you actually have to aim lower and lower and lower. After a couple days of practice, you should be able to understand that his head will get bigger as he comes closer. And when it does, you just need to aim slightly higher. So you just need to be able to... It's not really that drastic, but just be aware of the fact that further distances, his head's going to be a little further away, or further down on your screen. But yes, always aim for the first... Your first bullet should always be aiming for their head, because there's nothing better than killing someone with 1 bullet. That's the best thing you can do in any firefight. And usually, 1 out of 3 times, you might actually get that headshot just because you've developed a good habit of aiming for the head. So always aim for the head on the first bullet. You should never be aiming like this in a game. You should always be making a conscious effort to aim like this. And if you think the guy at any distance back, and then you aim further this way. But, yeah, always aim for the head on the first bullet. Cannot stress that enough. After your first bullet, you miss, for example, or for whatever reason he tanks or something, you want to do the 3 to 5 shot burst, which is tapping 3 to 5 bullets, and then you relocate, let the crosshair recover, and then do it again. This is the proper method of using the para, and when you're doing this, you want to hold shift or control. Preferably shift, because you can move slightly and try to dodge a few bullets while doing this. But you should not be doing a full strafe while doing this, because your crosshair just gets huge, and you want to be reliable, you don't want to be random. So you always want to hold shift when you're doing it. The grouping is much tighter if you do that. Also, if you're playing an angle, like he's out there on the street, you can actually crouch and just 3 to 5 shot burst and not even move, and you actually have a lot more accuracy that way. So if I do a 3 to 5 right now, like that, then that was a terrible example. I missed all my shots, but you were moving. Well, whatever. Anyway, basically, doing that allows you to have greater accuracy than doing this. But honestly, it depends on the distance. This was the furthest distance for the sweet spot, which this is about 20 meters almost. So I would probably crouch in this situation. But if I was slightly closer, I would probably do some shift tapping and do my 3 to 5. But when you do that, just remember, after your 5 shots, so after you do this, you want to fall back to cover, and then wait for your crosshair to recover, and then do it again.